Welcome back to episode 11 of my Stellar Horizons campaign game playthrough. Today we are starting the 2130s. We've already done the economics phase, so we're about to jump into the actual turns themselves. I think I'll do what I've been doing the last two episodes. Nobody's at war here, nobody's at embargo, so I think we're just going to kind of summarize each turn as they go. Some notes here before we get going though. Both Japan and North America now have unlimited crew vehicle range and space elevators, so I think a goal for North America is going to be to get their Titan spaceport up to a large spaceport. It's only small right now, so they want to be able to service all of their vehicles from there. Just looking at the player boards, South America has quite a few resources, so hopefully they'll be able to make use of those and start terraforming and settlements on continue on Venus and hopefully expand that to other worlds. And then Japan's going to continue to focus on their Enceladus base, at least until it's half terraformed. And I think we're going to see them probably send out a crew vehicle to Alpha Centauri. I'm not sure which vehicle that's going to be quite yet, but I think that is something that they are looking to do. So with that, I'm going to head into the build phase now for 2130. One other note, the last mission from the bag, the bag that I've been keeping the missions in, has now been pulled. It is able to be pulled for 2130, and that is a crewed vehicle exploration of Pluto, or depletion of Pluto. And so really Japan has that one pretty much on lock. They're going to send the CV-9 that's currently over at Umbriel at Uranus, and that's going to head out to Pluto. It's going to get there before anything North America has. Japan's heliocentric modifier right now is 0.2, North America's is 0.4, so I don't even think North America is going to bother trying for that. That should be something that Japan should be able to get pretty easily. And then I'm thinking from there that CV-9, kind of wish it wasn't the CV-9, but I'm not sure yet. Something's going to head out to Alpha Centauri this decade, and it's going to take 7 years to get out there. So I think by the end of the decade, we will see a crewed vehicle out there. At least that is the goal. All right, so for the build phase, I think everybody spent $14 billion, exactly, everybody. North America is buying an LV-4, a rover, and 4 ore. The rover there is going to probably go to the Kuiper Belt. Japan is buying 4 supplies, an LV-4, an orbiter, and a probe to send off to Neptune. And South America is buying an LV-4 and 9 supplies to send off to Venus. That's where we're at with the build phase, and I'll head on into the turn. Alright, so I'm midway through movement here, and so far I've launched 2 rockets with South America, an LV-3 and an LV-4. 2 rockets with North America, both LV-4s. The South American LV-4 didn't even launch, just blew up. And the 2 LV-4s for North America did launch, but neither were recovered. The only thing that's been recovered so far is the LV-3. So I think there's going to be a lot of repurchasing of launch vehicles next year. Alright, so at the end of 2130, let's see, Titan, Enceladus, Ceres, and Venus were all terraformed. North America did upgrade to a large spaceport at Titan. And I think that's all there pretty much is to say. We've got a bunch of stuff heading out to the Kuiper Belt. The Japanese crewed vehicle heading to Pluto for the mission. North America is also sending a crewed vehicle just because they need physics research. And also the rover out there. Over at Alpha Centauri, the Japanese rover did have a malfunction, so that is no longer there. And I think that is about it. South America did sell 8 fuel at Venus for $16 billion. So they now have a good amount of money and probably going to need it because they did lose their LV-4, so they're going to have to rebuy that. Japan also lost an LV-4 this turn, so we lost 4 LV-4s this turn that were not recovered. So, all right, with that, moving on now to 2131. All right, build phase. North America is buying 2 LV-4s, an orbiter, a probe, and 4 supply Orbiter's probably going off to Neptune. Japan's just buying 2 fuel and 2 supply. And South America's buying an LV4 and 9 supply. Alright, I've gone through, done all the movement, exploration, resource gathering. The South American CV4 here bought fuel from China. And let's see, looking around, what else? Yeah, so at base expansion, settlements were built and worlds were terraformed at Enceladus, Ganymede, Europa, and Venus. So everybody's working towards getting those terraformed worlds. And with that, that is the end of 2131. All right, on to the build phase for 2132. North America, I already did it, but they decommissioned the CV5 that they had come into Hygeia Palace there. And they used those resources with what they had at the base there to build their CV8 Constitution, which is right there. They're also buying 4 supplies. Japan's buying 4 supplies, and South America is building an LV4 and 7 supplies and 2 fuel. So I was looking at the way the scoring at the end of the game works. So basically, the way it works is you get 25 points if you have the most number of settlements on a fully terraformed world, or 10 if you have the most on a half terraformed world. And then you also get half a point per settlement on a fully terraformed world, or a quarter of a point if it's at least half terraformed. So basically what that means is it seems like it's better to fully terraform a world instead of going half and then getting another one to half. So for like South America, for example, they are going to be better off fully terraforming Venus than half terraforming Venus and half terraforming Europa. So I think what we're going to see, now that I realize that, moving forward, North America is going to fully terraform Titan, Japan Enceladus, and South America Venus, and then once those are fully terraformed, they'll move on to another one. So I think that is the strategy here for each of these factions moving forward. So I've already gone ahead and done mandatory movement. I had set out what I was buying for each faction before coming to that realization about the world being terraformed. So I had 7 supplies and 2 fuel for South America, but they're just going to buy 9 supplies instead. Alright, at the end of the turn, only thing of note that happened during exploration really was that the North American rover over at the Kuiper Belt had a malfunction right away, with no depletion there. The Japanese telescope keeps targeting the Kuiper Belt, and they keep getting depletions, but the rover there did not. Otherwise, just a lot of supply gathering here for the North American ships. Japan didn't have much this time. They're back here at the base and need to be, they were dropping off resources. One of them needs to be resupplied. We did have settlements getting built at Venus, at Ceres, and at Enceladus. Enceladus and Venus are both at 9 now, which is halfway. So those are now also halfway there. But I think per the conversation I just had, I think they're going to continue to work on those bases. South America did Ceres just because they had the resources there, but they're going to focus on Venus here moving forward. So with that, that's the end of 2132. Moving on now to 2133. All right, build phase. North America is buying an ore and a fuel. Japan's buying an LV4 and 8 supply. And South America is buying an LV4 and 9 supply. All right, I had gone ahead and done Japan's exploration at this point, but I forgot combat comes first, so we'll go to that right now. North America did make it out here to Earth with their CV8 they just built out at Hygeia Palace. And they'll be taking on the pirate there with a combat value of 3. So we'll roll the search roll here. 7 and a 10. So nobody found each other. So nothing happened in there this time. Alright, in the trading with bases phase, North America did trade with their Titan base. They could sell supplies there, which isn't that intuitive, but I wanted them to be able to get a new trade marker next decade. So they sold 2 supplies for $4 billion there, just to get some cash and to get a new trade marker. And then during base expansion, Titan, Enceladus, and Venus all built a settlement and were terraformed. Another step. All right, we're going to be moving on now to 2134. So just a note, So over here at Alpha Centauri, the crewed vehicle for Japan as well as the flyby for North America are currently in the 6 box. They'll drop down to the 5 after mandatory movement here. So they'll be getting pretty close, and I'll show that when we get there as well. For the build phase, as you might be guessing by now, everybody's buying resources. North America is buying 2 ore, 2 fuel, and Japan is buying 4 supply. South America is not buying anything quite yet. They do have their recalled crew vehicle coming into Earth here. So we'll move on to mandatory movement here. So it'll move down. It's probably not going to leave the flyby box because it doesn't want to be intercepted by the pirate vehicle. They're hoping North America can eliminate that pirate by the end of this turn, so it will probably stay there. Well, once again, I forgot that combat comes before exploration, so I've already done all of the exploration. North America did get a depletion out there at Hamea, but it did also get the recall. And I think Japan had a depletion out there at the Kuiper Belt as well. Alright, so I'll go ahead and backtrack a bit and do the combat here at Earth. So there's a search roll, 5 and a 6. The black dice is always the pirate, at least what I've been playing. So that 5 does go down to a 4 because the CV8 there does have a drone, so that is a success. So the effective difference there is a 2. North America does get +2 to their combat tactics points for their tech, so that is up to 4. So they will leave it as a strike combat and spend all 4 of those points to increase their damage by 2. Actually, okay, so looking at it, the pirates get 1 additional tactic point because there's for every full 7 points of enemy CV value, they get a point. So CV8, the pirates get 1. So North America's only actually got 3 combat points here, or tactic points, I should say. So they will use that to increase their damage by 1. Alright, so here we go, rolling for the combat. North America gets an 8 plus the 10 on their vehicle. And that's going to be 18, that's 5 damage, plus the 1 that they already declared, but that doesn't matter, that pirate is dead. And then the 6, the pirates rolled a 6, plus the 3 on their card, so that's a 9, and that is 2 damage inflicted. I should have declared it at first, but they don't have bomber drones, so they would have had to use that drone for a fighter drone, so that does negate 1 of the damage that the pirate did. So I'll go ahead and put a damage marker on here. They will remove the pirate. They get half of the pirate cash, which is $4 billion. Or the cash is at 8, so they will get $4 billion. And they'll also get a victory and a politics marker. Alright, so after bases have been expanded here, once again, Titan, Enceladus, and Venus have all been terraformed and added a new settlement. Enceladus and Venus are tied at 11 on the terraforming track of a maximum of 18. And Titan is at 12. So they're all well on their way here. Alright, 2135. Build phase, North America is buying an LV4, 2 ore, 2 fuel. Everybody just keeps losing launch vehicles this turn. Japan's buying 4 supply, and that is it. Alright, at the end of the year, once again, Titan, Venus, and Enceladus have all been terraformed, but they are all running out of supplies there. At the moment, I don't think any of them will be able to terraform at the end of the next turn, but it depends on what resources are brought back. So with that, moving on to 2136. Alright, for builds, North America is buying 4 ore with the last of their money for the decade. Japan's buying 4 supply. And South America is resupplying their CV3 and adding 3 ore to it for $5 billion. I forgot that the crewed vehicle at Earth needed to be repaired, so instead of sending 4 out to Titan, they're just sending 3 out and then using the last one to repair the ship there. Alright, so at the end of the turn, the only base that ended up expanding terraforming is Titan. They're now at 14. North America, after they fought the pirate here at Earth, they were trying to figure out what to do with their CV8. They can go explore out into the far reaches of the solar system, but it is going to take quite some time to get there. So their story is they're heading to Jupiter just to kind of prepare them for any pirates that may show up at the beginning of next decade. But Japan knows that they have been trying to move towards the embargo and war position. So in response, Japan has built a small defense network here at their base at Enceladus, just to prepare, just in case anything happens, starting with the next decade. But other than Titan, no other world was terraformed this turn. So moving on now to 2137. The only faction buying anything, Japan's buying 2 supplies here, or 4 rather, and sending them out to Enceladus. Mandatory moves have been completed. So at Alpha Centauri, both the crewed vehicle for Japan and the flyby for North America are in the 2 box. There's been no exploration yet for North America. They really want to make sure that they are guaranteed to explore Alpha Centauri. The last thing they want is to get a 10 on the exploration dice when they need a 9 or less, and to get a malfunction. So they're going to wait one more turn. Alpha Centauri is at 6. The North American Robotic Explorer bonus is 2, and they are 2 years away, and that is a value of 3 there on the flyby. It's hidden by the Japanese crewed vehicle, but it's a 3. So if they were to go this turn, they would need a 9, which is obviously quite good, but they want to make sure it is guaranteed. So they're going to wait one more turn with that flyby when it's guaranteed, and do the exploration then, mostly because there's nothing that can explore it before that anyway. The crewed vehicle can't do anything till it gets there, and the telescope, actually Japan lost their telescope last turn rather, but a telescope couldn't point at it either, so they knew they were safe, so that's why they're waiting until the 1. They may not get as much tech out of it that way, but that way they will make sure to get the end game score for that. Alright, the only base expansion that happened this time was Venus with a settlement. It's up to 13 on the terraforming track. I know I haven't really been showing them too much, but really South America, the only thing they've been doing is shuttling supplies from Mars to Venus, just going back and forth between those, collecting supplies at Venus, supplies at Mars, going to Venus, and if they ever get recalled, they go back to Earth and resupply. They've just been doing that. And beyond that, that is the only thing that was built this turn. And so we'll move on to 2138. Alright, so for the build phase, nobody's buying anything. North America has no money. Japan's got 7 billion and South America's got 6. And I think they're going to hold on to all of that for now. Alright, so North America has reached the 1 box for Alpha Centauri. So 6 plus 3 plus the bonus of 2 is 11, minus the 1 is 10, so that is automatic now. So they're going to go ahead and do their exploration of Alpha Centauri. Like I said, it's automatic. You just need to check for malfunction. 18%, that is their malfunction rate, so they have malfunctioned. They are very happy that they waited this long. 8, it is a biology type, so let's see what they get. They only get a 1, so no depletion, really not that much research, but that is a good amount of end-game points now that they have explored with a robot, Alpha Centauri. And then next turn we'll see the Japanese CV5 out there exploring as well. Alright, at the end of the year here, Venus and Enceladus have both added a settlement. So they're both going to, they also paid to increase terraforming, each by 1. So right now Titan's at 14, Venus is at 14, and Enceladus is at 13. They are getting close. Otherwise, I don't think anything else too important happened here. So with that, we are moving on to, what year is it going to be? It's going to be 2139, last year of the decade. And I think nobody's going to buy anything, but let me check. Yeah, nobody's going to buy anything, so I'll just move right on into the turn. Alright, movement has been completed. Exploration, Japan has their crewed vehicle here at Alpha Centauri. That's 6 plus 6, plus the 5 for their bonus, so that's 17. This particular ship does not have a lab, but they're still going to be able to explore. That is just the 1, and it is of type 1, which is physics. So let's see what they get here. They get a 3. I got a depletion there. And the life check for a physics depletion on Alpha Centauri is 3%, 77, no. All right, so I'm about to go into the base expansion phase here. So a few things about this turn. You'll notice a bunch of, actually you might not notice because it's a little off camera. Here at Saturn, let's see if I can move it just a little bit. Is that in camera? Kinda, okay. So North America ended up moving their crewed vehicle from Jupiter and Uranus back to Saturn. So they're in the 1 year box. And in response, Japan moved their crewed vehicle that was off at Haumea. They also moved over here to the 1 box of the Saturn system. So we'll see. I think I'm going to let the dice decide again whether or not there is embargo or war. I think I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit here, but I think I'm going to spend 3 politics markers for North America to move to war with Japan, and Japan's going to spend 3 politics markers to go the other direction with North America. And we'll just see how the dice, we'll see what the dice do. We could be anywhere between war and collaboration by the end of this upcoming economics phase. So moving on to base expansion here, I'm looking at North America. I think they're going to build a small defense network at Titan. What I'm not sure about, and feel free to comment below if I'm doing this incorrectly, the rule says after expanding bases, you may purchase terraforming points. It doesn't necessarily say that you have to build things at the base. It kind of almost makes it seem like the expanding bases part is the phase. So like it goes through the steps on how to build, you expand, and then after expanding, you can purchase terraforming points. So it says after expanding bases. They also note that you can build facilities or you can expand them. So the question I have is, does building a defense network count for the purpose of getting terraforming points? So like, when can you terraform? Is it whenever? Do you need to build anything? Does it have to be an expansion? Can you do terraforming if you're building a new structure like I am with the defense network? I'm not sure. The way I've been playing it is that you need to build something, anything, to terraform. So I've been doing settlements. I will go ahead and terraform here at Titan with the small defense network. This could be wrong. So let me know in the comments if I'm doing this incorrectly, but they are building this small defense network here for 3 ore. They're also going to be terraforming there. And then I will check to see, I think that is going to be the only, yes, that's going to be the only world that does any terraforming this turn. Okay, so with that defense network being built, that is the end of the year. That is the end of the decade. We're moving on to the 2140s. Move on into the economics phase. So first up, collecting political markers. Nobody has any alliances. So North and South America are each collecting 4 because of the policy they have, and Japan will collect 2. So with the politics markers collected, that puts North America at 7. They did not do a whole lot of exploration this decade. Japan is at 13, and South America is at 4. Next up, events. Rolling for 2 of them. First one is 38, Space Race. Each player adds up their total number of settlements plus the value of missions they've earned. The player with the lowest draws 5 politics markers. Okay, let me add that up. All right, so North America is at 75, Japan is at 61, and South America is at 34. So South America will collect 5 additional politics markers. All right, and event number 2, get a 28. That is Dockyard Strikes. Each player must destroy 2 saved resources at every base and a damage marker at every supply station and spaceport. Ooh, okay, let's go through that. All right, for North America, they don't have anything at Mars. That's why it's a little off camera. They do have a spaceport that they just added a damage marker to. They may not even bother repairing that. They're not using the one at Mars for anything. Here at Hygeia Palace, they only have ore. They'll get rid of 2 ore. The base here at Titan will get rid of 2 supply, and that large spaceport's been damaged. And then the base here at Ganymede will get rid of 2 fuel. So looking at it here, that means that large spaceport is no longer providing, well, I guess it doesn't matter because they have unlimited range. So you'd have to check the range normally because crewed vehicles have to be within range of a spaceport that can service it. So if it's damaged, it counts as 1 level lower. So that's down to a small spaceport right now at Titan. However, North America and Japan have unlimited range and space elevators, so they can trace supply basically all the way back to Earth. so that does not affect them. So we'll move on to Japan next. They've got their base here at Callisto. They'll just lose 2 ore there. They don't have anything at Hygeia Palace, and they will lose 2 fuel at Enceladus, and the damage markers have been added. And for South America, I need to add the damage markers. So that's going to be at, they only have it at Ceres. Ceres is their big one. But they're only up to CV4s. They have a range of 3 that they're allowed to go from Earth, and that's pretty much where they've been staying, so they're fine as well. But they do need to lose resources, so they will lose, this is their base at the near-Earth asteroids. They will lose 2 fuel from there. They're going to lose everything they have at Ceres, which is 1 fuel and 1 ore. They'll lose 2 of the 5 fuel. Let's turn this a little bit. They had this at Venus. They're going to lose 2 of the fuel, so they're down to 3. And then at Europa, they will lose 2 ore. So North America and Japan will be interested in repairing the damage, at least to the spaceports in the Saturn system, because they are actively using those. But that is it for events. Next up, we move over to initiative. So North America gets plus 40 to their roll. Japan gets plus 20. I think we're going to see Japan spend 2 politics markers again to add 20 to that, so that they're tied with North America's bonus. So we'll go in current initiative order. Here's Japan. They rolled a 100 after the bonus. North America gets a 125, and South America gets a 66. So North America and Japan will switch again. It'll be North America, Japan, and South America. All right, next up is diplomacy. Let's see who moves towards neutral. 3. 3 is Europe. And right now, Japan is at free trade with Europe, so they'll move back to neutral with them. And then in reverse initiative order, we need to see if anybody wants to spend any politics markers to move diplomacy around. Okay, South America is going to spend 3 of their politics markers, and they're going to try to increase relations with Japan and Russia. So here's Japan. Yes, that is a 1. And Russia, yes, that is a 2. All right, as I mentioned before, I think I'm just going to let the dice decide here on if we go to war or not. Japan does not particularly want it, but I think North America does. So Japan is going to try to increase relations with North America. 2 steps, so they're spending 3 politics markers to do it. The first one is a 10, nope. And the second one is a 4, yes. So they have gone up 1. And before I even move anything over there, I'll just do the other direction here for North America. So right now they're at free trade. Let's see what they got. 5, so they're back down to neutral. And 8, they remain at neutral. Okay, a lot of build up for nothing there, but they will stay at neutral. On to production. South America is getting 49 billion. Japan gets 47, and North America gets 49. Okay, moving on to base production. North America has done a little bit more math here, and they're going to get the biology research from their base on Mars, which is going to be 10, looking at all of the bonuses there. I don't know, maybe the supplies would be a better choice for them, I'm not sure, but I think they could use the 10 biology research to get the ability to buy biology points in the future. The base at Hygeia Palace collects 13 ore. The base at Titan will collect 11 fuel. And their other base at Ganymede does not collect anything. Japan, their Hygeia Palace base is going to collect 8 ore. So let me find that here. My table is getting a little messy, messy with all of the different tokens here. Their base over at Enceladus is going to get supplies. Its base value there is 7. They've got 15 settlements, so that adds 2. So they will get 9 supply out here. And that is it for Japan. And then moving on to South America, they've got their base at the near-Earth asteroids. That is a base value of 8, so that is what they will collect there. Ceres has a base value of 7 supplies. They have 3 settlements, which does increase that by 1. So they'll go on up to 8. They will collect 8 supply there. Venus is going to get fuel. Its base value is 9, and they've got 17 settlements. So that adds 2, so they're getting 11 fuel here. Let's see if I can make sure that's not outside their box. And then their base at Europa has a mining station. Europa has a value of 9 supplies. They've got 7 settlements, so they'll add 1 to that. So they will collect 10 supplies at Europa. All right, North America and Japan. North America and South America can move 10 resources around. Japan can move 15. So while I've got the camera looking at South America here, they're going to move 8 ore from near-Earth asteroids out to Venus, and with the remaining 2, they're going to move 2 from Ceres out to Venus as well. Japan's moving everything they had at every base that wasn't Enceladus and moving it to Enceladus. If I've done the math correctly, that should have been 15 total resources, mostly ore, but a few other things as well. And North America is going to move this 10 ore from Hygeia Palace out to Titan. All right, moving on to adding an Npf Base at 57. That should be fine. 57 is going to be somewhere out here in Jupiter. Let's see. 57 is Io. I'm going to have a base on Io. Let me get the correct bag of tokens, or of bases, I should say. And that's going to be a base for China. So they have a base now on Io. And then next up are 2 asteroids. And then looking out at the board, every zone is currently in play. So there will be an asteroid. Let's see where it's at. 31. 31 is... I should probably know these a little bit better by now. It's going to be out here at the main belt. That was... I think I flipped that over. I'll check the video. I think that was Cell. 31 is the main belt. I'll add an asteroid there. Yeah, that token was on the Cell side. And the other asteroid is at 28, which is Phobos, so Mars. So that's interesting. South America is actually in good position to get that asteroid, so they will likely go for that one. Yeah. Okay, so that's asteroids. Next up are pirates. We will have 2 pirates. The first one is at 89, way out somewhere. That's going to be at Pluto, so I'll put one over on the Kuiper belt. And the other one will be at 51. 51 is... Where's 51 at? Let's see. It's going to be out in the Jupiter system somewhere. It looks like that's Europa. So add a pirate to Jupiter, and then I'll get another one to put out at the Kuiper belt. And I've added $10 billion to the pirate cache as well. Alright, next we need to add a few trade markers. The only base that doesn't get one is the South American base at the near-Earth asteroids. So we'll go through, let's see what we need first. Venus, this is not the right bag again. Venus needs one, since the South Americans did use that trade last turn. So the one they get is Sell Ore. I don't think that's going to be too incredibly useful out there, but that's the token they get. Next up is the, let's see, Chinese base at Phobos, and that is Buy Ore. Let's see, nothing else in the main belt area. Next up over in the Jupiter system, the Chinese base on Io is Buy Fuel. Okay. The, let's see, North American base at Titan needs one. And that's Sell Supplies. I'll go put that on momentarily. And that should be all of them. All right, moving on to developing technologies. I'll add up the tech chits and see what everybody's got. All right, here's how much tech everybody's got. All right, I'll try doing the camera like this. We'll see if that shows up. But Japan did end up getting the victory condition tech for biology. Everybody got the genetic engineering tech, and South America got the recall rate down to 20%. For physics, let's see here what happened. North America can transfer up to 15 resources now, and Japan had a bunch of physics tech, but they didn't need any of it, so they ended up selling it for a whole lot of money. But then they spent a whole lot of money to get that victory condition, just in case the turn ends this next decade. They ended up getting the victory condition for biology up there. So they ended up spending $25 billion to do that. And then down here, North America got the space heavy transport tech, which I did not realize meant that you could double your launch vehicle capacity as well. I knew it did your crewed vehicle. I didn't realize it did launch vehicle. So they did end up getting that. And I think that's about it. Nobody really had a whole lot of tech points except for Japan. They sold a bunch of them and then bought the biology. North America did buy a lot of points to also get that the launch vehicle capacity increase as well. They spent $20 billion. Like I said, Japan spent $25 billion. And South America spent $1 billion to get the techs that they got as well. So a lot of money spent here getting technology, but I think it'll be worth it for all of the factions. Okay, moving on to settlement growth. Start with North America. Mars has 5 settlements, so we'll see if that increases. It does. Hygeia Pallas has 15, so it automatically gets 1 and will get another one. Titan is at 16, so it gets 1 and it does get another one. And Ganymede is at 6 and it does get another one as well. A lot of settlement growth for North America. Moving on to Japan, their base at Callisto has 2. So that does not go up. Hygeia Pallas has 5. That does not increase. The base at Enceladus has 15, so it does get 2 more. And then finally, South America, they get 2 dice. Ceres has 3, so nothing there. Venus has 17, so they get 1 and another. And Europa has 7, and they get 1 more there. And I don't think anybody's changing any of the policies. So with that, I'll just bring the camera over there so you see where they're at. You can take a look at those if you're curious to see where they are at. So with that, that is the end of episode 11. That's the end of the 2140 economic phase. Next episode, we'll move into the 2140s, which could potentially be the last decade. We'll see if we end up getting combat by the end of this. I don't know what the right call here is. It seems like combat could be pretty destructive for both North America and Japan, especially out there at their bases at Saturn, where they've got so much time and points invested in it. Yeah, we'll have to see. The only reason I've been going through this thinking Japan probably doesn't want to, because they have one of their combat vehicles out at Alpha Centauri. But I'm looking at it the other way now. North America is going to be getting probably most of their points from their settlements and terraforming, whereas Japan also has a bunch in technology and exploring Alpha Centauri. So maybe Japan, I almost maybe should have been looking at this the other way. Maybe Japan does want it to try to take down the Titan base while still having plenty of points elsewhere, even if their base at Enceladus gets destroyed. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we end in the 2140s, and if we make it to the 2150 economic phase, perhaps we'll see the other direction here. Perhaps Japan will be moving towards embargo and war, whereas North America will not. So I'm saying all of these things, and as I'm saying them, I'm realizing that that would behoove Japan to move policies up into the war policy. So let's do that. So I think what they're going to do, you can only have 10 policies. I think they're going to reduce the cash policy that they've got and increase the military one, if for no other reason than the initiative boost is nice. They've been spending politics markers on it anyway. So, All right, I think that's where we'll end the policy tree. And with that, that is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching, and looking forward to the next one.